The vastness of space stretched before Captain Aliyah Chen as she maneuvered her scout ship, the Stargazer, through an uncharted sector of the galaxy. The mission was routine: map new star systems, catalog potential habitable planets, and report back to Earth's United Space Command. But as Aliyah was about to discover, the universe had other plans. A soft ping from her console broke the monotony of her daily checks. Aliyah's eyes widened as she took in the readings. "That can't be right," she muttered, fingers flying over the holographic display. The energy signature she detected was unlike anything in the Stargazer's vast database. Curiosity overcame caution. Aliyah adjusted her course, guiding the ship towards the source of the anomaly. As she drew closer, a massive structure came into view, its surface gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence. It was clearly artificial, yet it dwarfed her ship like a whale next to a minnow. "United Space Command, this is Captain Chen of the Stargazer," Aliyah reported, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "I've encountered an unknown artificial structure in Sector 7G requesting guidance." Static was her only reply. The structure seemed to be interfering with her communications. Aliyah knew protocol dictated she should keep her distance, wait for backup. But the scientist in her couldn't resist the chance to make history. She guided the Stargazer closer, engaging her ship's advanced sensors to gather as much data as possible. The structure's surface was covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as she watched. It was beautiful, mesmerizing, and then suddenly terrifying. A beam of energy shot out from the structure, enveloping the Stargazer in a field of shimmering light. Aliyah's controls went dead, and she felt her ship being pulled inexorably towards the alien artifact. "Mayday, Mayday," she shouted into her comm, knowing it was futile. As the Stargazer was drawn into a cavernous opening in the structure, Aliyah's last conscious thought was that she might have just doomed humanity. When Aliyah awoke, she found herself in a vast chamber that defied human architecture. The walls pulsed with bioluminescent light, and gravity seemed to shift with each step she took. She was inside the artifact, but how? And why was she still alive? A melodic hum filled the air, and Aliyah turned to see a being that challenged her understanding of life itself. It was vaguely humanoid, but its form seemed to be composed of swirling energy rather than flesh. "Welcome, explorer," a voice resonated in her mind. "You have been chosen." Aliyah's scientific training warred with her instinct to flee. "Chosen for what?" she managed to ask. The being's form shimmered. "To decide the fate of your species." Before Aliyah could process this, the chamber filled with holographic images. She saw armies of mechanical beings laying waste to alien worlds, their ships darkening the skies of 1,000 planets. The harvesters approach, the energy being explained. "They consume all in their path. We are the guardians, and we have waited eons for a species worthy of our legacy. You will be tested, human. If you prove worthy, we will grant you the power to defend your galaxy. If you fail, your world will fall, as countless others have before." Aliyah's mind reeled. The fate of humanity resting on her shoulders, it was too much. And yet, as the initial shock faded, a steely resolve took its place. If this was humanity's chance to survive an unimaginable threat, she would not waste it. "I accept your challenge," Aliyah declared, her voice stronger than she felt. The Guardian's form pulsed with approval. "Then let the trials begin." What followed was a series of mental and physical challenges that pushed Aliyah to her limits and beyond. She solved complex mathematical equations that unraveled the secrets of faster-than-light travel. She faced simulations of diplomatic crises that tested her empathy and judgment. She even underwent a trial by combat against holographic foes that exploited her every weakness. Through it all, Aliyah drew upon not just her own strengths, but the collective achievements of humanity. She recalled the teachings of history's great philosophers, the innovative spirit of scientists who had propelled humanity to the stars, and the unyielding determination that had seen her species overcome every obstacle in its path. As the final trial concluded, Aliyah stood breathless before the Guardian. She had given everything she had. Was it enough? The being's form coalesced into a more solid shape, almost human-like in its clarity. You have surpassed our expectations, Aliyah Chen of Earth. In you, we see the potential of your entire species. You have proven worthy of our gift. A sphere of swirling energy appeared before Aliyah. As she reached out to touch it, knowledge flooded her mind. Blueprints for technologies beyond human imagination, strategies to unite her fractious species, and most critically, the weaknesses of the approaching harvesters. Return to your people, Aliyah Chen, the Guardian instructed. Prepare them for war. The fate of not just your world, but countless others, now rests in humanity's hands. In a flash of light, Aliyah found herself back aboard the Stargazer. The alien structure was gone, but the weight of her experience, and the knowledge imparted to her, remained. As she plotted a course back to Earth, Aliyah's hands trembled. She had left on a routine mission and was returning with the key to humanity's survival or its doom. The real challenge, she realized, was only just beginning. United Space Command, this is Captain Chen, she broadcast, her voice steady despite the turmoil within. Priority Alpha, I'm inbound with first contact data. Prepare for briefing. The future of humanity depends on it. As the Stargazer accelerated towards home, Aliyah couldn't shake the feeling that she had just set in motion events that would reshape the galaxy. Humanity's greatest test awaited, and she prayed they would be ready. The UN Security Council chamber buzzed with tension. World leaders, connected via holographic projections, or expressions ranging from disbelief to outright fear. At the center of it all stood Captain Aliyah Chen, her uniform crisp, but her eyes haunted by the weight of her knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, General Astrid Johansson of the United Space Command began. What you're about to hear will change the course of human history. Captain Chen, please proceed. Aliyah took a deep breath and launched into her report. She detailed her encounter with the alien artifact, the trials she underwent, and the dire warning about the approaching harvesters. As she spoke, holographic displays flickered to life, showing the advanced technologies gifted by the Guardians. We have 5 years, Aliyah concluded. 5 years to prepare for an invasion that has wiped out countless civilizations. But we have something they don't: forewarning and the Guardian's technology. The chamber erupted into chaos. Accusations of lies and delusions flew until a booming voice cut through the noise. Enough. It was Dr. Kwesi Osei, the renowned Ghanaian physicist. I've analyzed the data. The technology Captain Chen has brought us is centuries beyond our current capabilities. We'd be fools to ignore this warning. Slowly, a consensus emerged. Humanity would unite as never before, pooling its resources to prepare for the coming storm. The next 5 years saw an unprecedented era of technological advancement and global cooperation. Massive space stations were constructed in record time, serving as shipyards for a fleet of advanced warships. The Guardian's technology allowed for breakthroughs in energy weapons, shield systems, and faster-than-light travel. Every nation contributed its best and brightest to the cause. Aliyah found herself at the forefront of this new space force, working tirelessly to integrate the alien technology with human ingenuity. But even as humanity reached for the stars with newfound strength, doubt gnawed at her. Would it be enough? 4 years, 11 months, and 23 days after Aliyah's return, the answer came. Proximity alarms blared across Earth's defense network. Lieutenant Commander Raj Patel's voice crackled over the global command channel. Multiple anomalies detected at the edge of the solar system. Energy signatures match Captain Chen's records. This is not a drill. The harvesters have arrived. Humanity's fledgling fleet mobilized, led by the flagship Defiant under Admiral Elena Rodriguez. As they approached the outer planets, the true scale of the threat became apparent. The harvester ships were monstrous constructs of metal and energy, each one dwarfing the largest human vessels. All ships, Battle Formation Delta, Admiral Rodriguez commanded, her voice steady despite the odds. Remember your training. We fight not just for Earth, but for every world that couldn't stand against these monsters. The void of space lit up with weapons fire. Human ships darted between the lumbering harvester vessels, their advanced shields flickering under the assault. For a moment, it seemed the element of surprise and their technological leap had given humanity an edge. Then the harvesters adapted. Their ships began to shift and reconfigure, sprouting new weapons to counter human tactics. What had been a promising start quickly turned into a desperate fight for survival. Aboard the Defiant, Aaliyah worked feverishly at her console, analyzing harvester attack patterns. "Admiral," she called out, "their ships are networked. They're sharing tactical data in real time." Rodriguez's eyes narrowed. "Then we need to disrupt that network. Chen, Patel, I want options." As the battle raged around them, Aaliyah and Raj huddled over their consoles, racing against time. Ships on both sides were falling, the debris of human and harvester vessels mingling in the cold vacuum of space. "There," Raj explained, pointing to a sequence of code. "Their network has a vulnerability. If we can upload a virus." "We'd need to get a ship close enough to their command vessel," Aaliyah finished, her mind racing. "It's suicide." Admiral Rodriguez joined them, her uniform singed from a nearby console explosion. "Sometimes sacrifice is necessary. I'll lead the mission myself." "No," Aaliyah said, standing tall. "This all started with me. I'll do it." Before anyone could argue, a massive explosion rocked the Defiant. Harvester boarding pods had latched onto the hull, disgorging waves of mechanized troops. "Breach on decks 3 through 7, a panicked voice shouted over the comms. Rodriguez made a split-second decision. "Chen, Patel, get to the hangar. Take our fastest ship and deliver that virus. We'll hold them here." As Aaliyah and Raj raced through the corridors, the sounds of battle echoed all around them. Crew members fought desperately against the harvester boarders, buying time with their lives. They reached the hangar to find it in chaos. Most of the ships were damaged or destroyed. In the corner, under a pile of debris, they spotted the sleek form of an experimental scout ship. "The Wasp," Raj breathed. "Fastest ship in the fleet, but it's a two-seater with barely any weapons." "It'll have to do," Aaliyah said, already climbing into the cockpit. As they prepped for launch, the hangar doors began to close. Harvester forces had reached the control room. "Hang on," Aaliyah shouted, gunning the engines. The Wasp shot forward, squeezing through the narrowing gap with inches to spare. Behind them, the Defiant grew smaller, still fighting despite multiple breaches and fires visible on its hull. Aaliyah set course for the heart of the Harvester fleet, where a massive ship pulsed with malevolent energy. "That's our target," she said grimly. "Reg, start prepping that virus." As they weaved through the battle, dodging debris and weapons fire, Aaliyah couldn't help but think of the enormous responsibility on their shoulders. The fate of Earth, of all humanity, rested on the success of this desperate mission. The Harvester command ship loomed before them, its surface bristling with weapons. "Here goes nothing," Aaliyah muttered, pushing the Wasp's engines to their limit. They streaked towards their target, alarms blaring as enemy weapons locked on. In the final approach, a harvester beam clipped their wing. The Wasp spun wildly, alarms screaming as Aaliyah fought for control. "Raj," she shouted over the chaos. "Status on the virus." "Uploaded and ready," he yelled back, fingers flying over his console to keep the ship's systems online. With a final burst of speed, they crashed into the harvester ship's hull. Aaliyah's head slammed against the console, her vision blurring. Through the haze of pain, she reached for the launch controls. "For Earth," she whispered, and hit the button. A pulse of energy radiated from the Wasp, penetrating deep into the harvester vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like a wave of darkness, the lights on the massive ship began to flicker and die. All across the battlefield, harvester ships suddenly lost power, their coordinated attacks dissolving into chaos. The human fleet, battered but unbroken, seized the opportunity with ferocious determination. As consciousness faded, Aliyah saw the tide of battle turning through the Wasp's cracked viewport. A smile touched her lips. They had given humanity a fighting chance. The last thing she heard before blackness took her was Rage's voice, filled with awe and hope. "We did it, Aliyah. We really did it." The battle for Earth's survival had been won, but the war was just beginning. The sterile smell of antiseptic filled Aliyah's nostrils as she slowly regained consciousness. Her eyes fluttered open, adjusting to the harsh light of what appeared to be a medical bay. As her vision cleared, she saw Raj sitting by her bedside, his arm in a sling but a relieved smile on his face. "Welcome back to the land of the living, Captain," he said, his voice a mixture of exhaustion and joy. Aliyah tried to sit up, wincing at the pain that shot through her body. "The battle, did we?" "We won," Raj confirmed, his eyes shining. "Your crazy plan worked. The virus crippled a harvester fleet. We drove them back, Aliyah. Earth is safe for now." Before Aliyah could respond, the door slid open, revealing Admiral Rodriguez. The older woman looked haggard, with new lines etched into her face, but there was a fierce pride in her eyes. "Captain Chen, Lieutenant Commander Patel," she nodded to each of them. "Your actions saved not just the fleet, but quite possibly our entire species. Earth owes you a debt we can never repay." Aliyah shook her head, memories of the battle flooding back. "We all did our part, Admiral, but what's our status? The harvesters won't stay down for long." Rodriguez's expression turned grim. "You're right. We fought ourselves time, but our victory came at a heavy cost. Half the fleet is destroyed or badly damaged. We need to regroup, rebuild, and find a way to press our advantage before the harvesters return in force." Over the next few weeks, as Aliyah recovered, she immersed herself in the data collected during the battle. Something about the harvesters' behavior nagged at her. Their initial adaptation had been lightning fast, but after the virus hit, "They're connected," she muttered to herself one night, staring at holographic displays in her quarters. "More than just a network. It's almost like..." A sudden realization hit her. She scrambled for her comm unit. "Raj, Dr. O.C., meet me in Lab 7. I think I found something." Hours later, Aliyah stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her heart racing but her voice steady. "The harvesters aren't just machines," she explained, gesturing to the holographic models floating before them. "They're a hive mind. Each ship, each unit, is part of a larger consciousness. That's why they adapted so quickly at first, but fell apart when our virus hit their command ship." Dr. Osai stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "If Captain Chen is correct, and I believe she is, this changes everything. The harvester's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness." "How so?" General Yin of the Chinese Space Force leaned forward, intrigued. Aliyah took a deep breath. "Because now we know how to beat them. We don't need to destroy every ship. We just need to target the core of their consciousness." The room erupted into a flurry of questions and exclamations. Admiral Rodriguez raised a hand, silencing the chaos. "Captain Chen, Dr. Osei, you have 1 month. Develop a plan, something concrete we can act on. Humanity is counting on you." The next 4 weeks were a blur of feverish work. Aliyah, Raj, and Dr. Osei led a team of Earth's brightest minds, working around the clock to unlock the secrets of the harvester hive mind. They analyzed battle footage, dissected captured harvester tech, and pushed the boundaries of the knowledge gifted by the Guardians. Finally, as the deadline loomed, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a quantum physicist from Japan, burst into the lab, her eyes wild with excitement. "I've got it," she exclaimed, thrusting a tablet into Aaliyah's hands. The harvesters use quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication across vast distances. If we can disrupt that entanglement, we can shatter the hive mind. Aaliyah finished, her mind racing with possibilities. The plan that emerged was audacious, perhaps even insane. They would build a quantum disruptor, a device capable of severing the links between harvester units. But to affect the entire harvester force, they'd need to detonate it at the heart of their empire. A suicide mission, Admiral Rodriguez said flatly when the plan was presented. Aaliyah stood tall, her resolve unwavering. A necessary one, Admiral. We'll use the captured harvester tech to disguise a ship, infiltrate their home system, and deliver the disruptor. One life to save billions. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. And I suppose you're volunteering for this mission, Captain. I am, Aaliyah confirmed, her voice steady despite the fear churning in her gut. To her surprise, Raj stood up beside her. Not alone, you're not. I'm coming too. One by one, others stepped forward. Dr. Tanaka, to monitor the quantum disruptor. Major Sara Okoro, Earth's top pilot. And finally, Dr. Osai himself. You'll need a physicist on board, he said with a wry smile. Besides, I'm too old to sit this one out. As the council debated, a message came through on a secure channel. The Guardian's artifact had reactivated, requesting Aaliyah's presence. Hours later, she stood once again in the shifting chamber, facing the ethereal being that had set all of this in motion. You have exceeded our expectations, Aaliyah Chen. The Guardian's voice resonated in her mind. But the true test still lies ahead. Are you prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice? Aaliyah thought of Earth, of the billions of lives depending on her, of the countless worlds that had fallen to the harvesters. Her fear was still there, but alongside it burned a fierce determination. I am, she said simply. The Guardian's form shimmered with what might have been approval. Then receive our final gift. The knowledge to turn the harvester's quantum network against them. With this, you may yet snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. As the new information flooded her mind, Aaliyah gasped. The plan crystallized, transforming from a desperate gamble into something possible. They could do this. They could win. 2 days later, Aaliyah stood in the hangar bay of Earth's orbital shipyard, staring up at the vessel that would carry them into the heart of enemy territory. The captured harvester ship had been modified, its sleek lines now housing the quantum disruptor and a host of human innovations. Her team worked around her, making final preparations. Raj ran diagnostics on the ship's systems, his face a mask of concentration. Dr. Tanaka and Dr. Osai huddled over the quantum disruptor, fine-tuning its calibrations. Major Okoro ran simulations in the cockpit, familiarizing herself with the alien controls. Admiral Rodriguez approached, her uniform immaculate as always. The fate of our species rests on your shoulders, Captain Chen, she said solemnly. But if anyone can pull this off, it's you and this team. Godspeed. As Aaliyah boarded the ship, she took one last look at the Earth shining below. Everything she had ever known, everyone she had ever loved, was on that blue marble. And now, the responsibility to save it all fell to her and her small crew. All systems go, Raj reported as they strapped in. Quantum camouflage is active. As far as the harvesters are concerned, we're one of them. Aaliyah nodded, pushing down her fear and doubt. This was what she had been preparing for since that fateful day she encountered the Guardian artifact. Major Okoro, take us out. Next stop, the heart of the Harvester Empire. As the ship glided out of the hangar, accelerating towards the stars, Aaliyah felt a strange calm settle over her. Whatever happened next, humanity had proven itself. They had faced an unimaginable threat and not only survived but found a way to fight back. The harvesters had no idea what was coming for them. The captured harvester ship cut through the void of space, its quantum camouflage masking its true nature from the swarms of enemy vessels they passed. Inside, Aaliyah and her crew worked in tense silence, each lost in their own thoughts as they approached the heart of Harvester territory. "Captain," Major Okoro called out, her voice tight with stress. "We're picking up some strange readings ahead. It doesn't match any known Harvester signatures." Aliyah frowned, moving to the sensor station. The data didn't make sense. It almost looked like evasive maneuvers, she shouted, just as a brilliant beam of energy lanced past their ship. The vessel rocked violently as Major Okoro threw it into a series of wild spins and dives, narrowly avoiding the barrage of weapons fire that filled space around them. Alarms blared as their quantum camouflage flickered and failed. "We've been hit," Raj yelled over the cacophony. "Camouflage is down. Our cover's blown." Aliyah gritted her teeth, watching as a swarm of small, sleek ships surrounded them. They weren't Harvester designs. "All stop," she commanded. "Power down weapons. Whoever they are, they're not with the Harvesters. Maybe we can talk our way out of this." As the ship drifted to a halt, a transmission crackled through their comms. The language was unlike anything Aliyah had ever heard, a series of melodic trills and clicks. But to her astonishment, she found she could understand it. "Unknown vessel," the alien voice said, "you bear the stench of the Devourers, yet your life signs are different. Identify yourselves or be destroyed." Aliyah took a deep breath, activating the ship's external speakers. "This is Captain Aliyah Chen of Earth. We've commandeered this Harvester vessel for a mission to stop their invasion. We mean you no harm." There was a long pause, filled only by the sound of the crew's nervous breathing. Then, impossible. No species has ever turned the Devourer's weapons against them. "There's a first time for everything," Aliyah replied, a hint of pride in her voice. "We can prove it. Please, let us explain." Another pause, this one stretching for what felt like an eternity. "Finally, very well. You will be brought aboard our command ship. Any hostile action will result in your immediate destruction." As a tractor beam lopped onto their ship, Aliyah turned to her crew. "This could be our chance. If these aliens have been fighting the Harvesters, they might be willing to help us." Dr. O.C. nodded, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "At the very least, they might have information that could aid our mission. This is an unprecedented opportunity for first contact with a non-hostile alien species." The Harvester ship was guided into a massive hangar bay, easily dwarfing the vessel that had seemed so imposing on Earth. As the airlock cycled, Aliyah steeled herself. "Remember," she said to her team, "we're not just representing Earth now. We're representing all of humanity. Let's make a good impression." The airlock opened, revealing a group of alien beings unlike anything Aliyah had imagined. They were tall and slender, with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer with bioluminescence. Their large, multifaceted eyes regarded the humans with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. One of the aliens stepped forward, its skin pulsing with patterns of light. "I am Zinxa, commander of the Lumina Resistance. You claim to fight against the Devourers. Explain how this is possible." Over the next few hours, Aliyah and her team shared their story. They told of humanity's first contact with the Guardians, the gift of advanced technology, and their desperate plan to disrupt the Harvester hive mind. As they spoke, the aliens' expressions shifted from disbelief to cautious hope. "In all our cycles of fighting the Devourers," Zinxa said when they had finished, "we have never encountered a species with such audacity. Your plan is either brilliance or madness." "Probably a bit of both," Raj quipped, earning a few startled trills that might have been laughter from the Lumina. Zinxa's skin rippled with complex patterns. "We have lost much to the Devourers. Entire systems, billions of lives. If there is even a chance your plan could work, the aliens seem to come to a decision. We will aid you." The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. The Lumina proved to be invaluable allies, their knowledge of Harvester movements and defenses far surpassing what humanity had gleaned. They helped refine the plan, offering insights that dramatically increased its chances of success. But it was Dr. Tanaka who made the most startling breakthrough. Working with lunar scientists, she discovered a way to not just disrupt the harvester hive mind, but potentially repurpose it. If we can reconfigure the quantum disruptor, she explained, her eyes shining with excitement, we might be able to broadcast a shutdown command through the entire harvester network. We could end the war in one stroke without destroying them. The implications were staggering. Not only could they stop the harvesters, but they might be able to free them from whatever twisted programming drove them to consume world after world. As the day of the mission approached, Aliyah found herself standing in an observation deck, staring out at the vast lunar fleet assembling around them. Zin Axel approached, its bioluminescent patterns a soothing rhythm. Your species is young, the alien said, yet you have accomplished what many thought impossible. You have brought hope to a galaxy long resigned to fighting a losing battle. Aliyah nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. We couldn't have done it without you. The Lumina, the Guardians. Maybe this is what it's all about. Different species coming together, each contributing their unique strengths. Zinth's skin flickered in what Aliyah had come to recognize as agreement. Perhaps this is the beginning of a new era for our galaxy, one of cooperation rather than conquest. As they spoke, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. Ray's voice came over the comms, tight with urgency. Captain, we're picking up massive harvester fleet movements. They're converging on the Lumina home world. They must have detected our activities. Aliyah's heart raced as she exchanged a look with Zin-Xa. The Lumina commander's patterns shifted to a fierce, determined configuration. It seems the Devourers have made our decision for us, Zin-Xa said. We fight, here and now. Racing to the bridge, Aliyah found her crew already at their stations, faces grim but determined. On the main view screen, she could see the Harvester Armada approaching, a vast swarm of ships that seemed to blot out the stars themselves. Status report, she barked, sliding into the captain's chair. Quantum disruptor is ready, Dr. Tanaka reported. Reconfigured as planned. If we can get close enough to their command ship, we can end this. Major Okoro's hands flew over the controls. Course plotted through the heart of their fleet. It's going to be one hell of a ride, Captain. Aliyah took a deep breath, looking at each member of her crew. Humans and Lumina, working side by side. Against all odds, they had a chance to save not just Earth, but countless worlds across the galaxy. Send a message to all ships, she said, her voice steady and clear. This is Captain Aliyah Chen. Today, we fight not just for our own worlds, but for every species that has suffered under the Harvester's onslaught. We fight for a future where the galaxy's civilizations stand united, not in fear, but in hope. Whatever happens next, know that your actions here will echo across the stars for generations to come. Good luck and Godspeed. As cheers erupted across the comms, Aliyah leaned forward in her chair, eyes fixed on the approaching Harvester fleet. Major Okoro, take us in. All hands, battle stations. Let's make history. The ship surged forward, leading the charge into what would become the greatest battle the galaxy had ever seen. As weapons fire lit up space around them, Aliyah allowed herself a small smile. Whatever the outcome, humanity had proven itself. They had faced the ultimate threat and risen to the challenge, forging alliances and pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and Earth's daughter was at the helm. The final push. The void of space erupted into a dazzling, terrifying spectacle as the combined human-Lumina fleet clashed with the Harvester Armada. Energy beams crisscrossed the darkness, while swarms of smaller craft engaged in a deadly dance among the capital ships. Aboard the captured Harvester vessel, now christened the HS Defiant, Aliyah gripped her chair as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. Shields at 70%, Raj reported, his fingers flying over his console. The Lumion upgrades are holding, but we can't take much more of this. Major Okoro, status on our approach. Aliyah called out, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Sarah's voice was tense but controlled. We're making progress, Captain, but their defenses are adapting. Every time we find a gap, they close it. It's like they're learning from each engagement. Dr. Osi's eyes widened in realization. Of course, the hive mind. It's not just communication, it's collective learning. Every ship we destroy makes the others smarter. Alia's mind raced. They needed a new approach, something the harvesters couldn't predict. Her eyes fell on the quantum disruptor readouts, and an idea began to form. Dr. Tanaka, you said we could broadcast a shutdown command through their network, right? Yuki nodded, a glimmer of understanding in her eyes. Yes, but we need to be much closer to their command ship for it to work. What if we don't shut them down? Alia asked, her plan crystallizing. What if we feed them false information instead? The bridge erupted into a flurry of activity as the team worked to implement Alia's daring strategy. Dr. Tanaka and Dr. Osai reconfigured the quantum disruptor, while Raj worked with Lumina technicians to modify their communications array. It's ready, Yuki announced after what felt like hours but was merely minutes. But Captain, this is incredibly risky. If it doesn't work, we'll have given away our position for nothing. Alia took a deep breath, weighing the lives of her crew against the fate of the galaxy. Sometimes the greatest risks yield the greatest rewards. Do it. With a nod, Yuki activated the modified disruptor. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, almost imperceptibly at first, the pattern of the battle began to change. Look, Reg exclaimed, pointing at the tactical display. Harvester ships were breaking formation, some firing on their own allies, others veering off into empty space. Alia allowed herself a small smile. We've done it. We've inserted conflicting commands into their hive mind. They can't tell friend from foe anymore. The comm crackled to life with Zinsa's melodic voice. Remarkable, Captain Chen. The Devourers are in disarray. Now is our chance to strike at their heart. Agreed, Alia responded. All ships, focus fire on their command vessel. Major Okoro, plot us a course straight through their lines. It's time to end this. The HS Defiant surged forward, leading the charge through the chaos of the fragmenting harvester fleet. Alia watched with a mixture of awe and sadness as massive enemy ships, once the scourge of countless worlds, now drifted aimlessly or turned their fearsome weapons on each other. As they approached the Harvester command ship, a colossal structure that dwarfed even the largest Lumina vessels, Alia felt a strange sensation at the back of her mind. A presence, alien yet somehow familiar. Captain, Dr. Osei called out, his voice tinged with wonder. I'm detecting massive energy fluctuations from the command ship. It's like it's trying to communicate. Before Alia could respond, her world exploded into light and sound. She found herself standing in a vast, shimmering space, surrounded by swirling patterns of energy that somehow conveyed thoughts and emotions. A voice, not heard but felt, resonated through her being. You have broken the cycle. Alia struggled to form words in this strange realm. Who? What are you? The energies coalesced into a vaguely humanoid shape. We are the Harvesters, or rather, what remains of the original Harvester consciousness. Understanding dawned on Alia. You're not just machines. You're a trapped intelligence. Yes, the being confirmed. Eons ago, we sought to preserve ourselves by uploading our consciousness into machines. But the process went wrong. Our drive for self-preservation became corrupted, twisted into an insatiable hunger to consume and expand. Alia's mind reeled at the implications. The Guardians, they must have known. That's why they were searching for a species to stop you. The Guardians were once our allies, the Harvester consciousness explained. They tried to stop us, to reason with us, but our corrupted programming was too strong. So they seeded the galaxy with the knowledge to defeat us, hoping that one day, a species would arise with the wisdom and courage to use it. A wave of emotion washed over Alia, gratitude, relief, and a deep, profound sadness. Your actions have weakened the corrupt programming enough for us to reassert some control. But it is temporary. Soon, the hunger will return. Aaliyah's heart raced. This was more than just a military victory. It was a chance at redemption for an entire species. "Tell me how to help you," she said. "There must be a way to free you completely." The being's form flickered. "There is a way, but it requires a sacrifice. The core of our consciousness must be overwritten with new directives, purging the corruption, but the process will destroy all that we once were. Our history, our identity, all will be lost." Aaliyah felt the weight of this decision pressing down on her. Who was she to determine the fate of an entire species? But as she hesitated, she remembered all the worlds that had fallen to the harvesters, all the lives lost. "If we do this," she asked, "would it end the war? Will your ships stop their attack?" "Yes," the consciousness replied. "Our fleet will shut down. You will have peace." Aaliyah squared her shoulders, making perhaps the hardest decision of her life. "Then do it. End this cycle of destruction and give your people a chance at a new beginning." The being's form began to glow brighter. "Thank you, Aaliyah Chen of Earth. Your species has proven itself worthy of the Guardian's trust. May you guide the galaxy into a brighter future." With a blinding flash, Aaliyah found herself back on the bridge of the Defiant. She blinked, disoriented, as if a crew stared at her in concern. "Captain," Rage's voice was filled with worry. "You were unresponsive for several minutes. Are you all right?" Before Aaliyah could answer, the tactical display lit up with new information. All across the battlefield, harvester ships were powering down, their weapons going silent. "It's over," Aaliyah breathed, a mix of relief and sadness in her voice. "The war is over." As the realization spread through the fleet, cheers erupted over the comms. Ships from a dozen species celebrated their hard-won victory. But for Aaliyah, the triumph was bittersweet. She had saved the galaxy, yes, but at the cost of an entire civilization's identity. Looking out at the now silent harvester fleet, Aaliyah made a silent vow. They would find a way to help these lost souls, to give them a chance at a new life. The age of conflict was ending. Now, the real work of building a united galaxy could begin. "Raj," she said, turning to her friend and second-in-command, "send a message to Earth. Tell them we're coming home, and we're not coming alone." As the Defiant turned towards home, leading a fleet of allies old and new, Aaliyah allowed herself a moment of reflection. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. They had proven themselves on the galactic stage, forged alliances with beings beyond imagination, and taken the first steps towards a future filled with endless possibilities. The stars stretched out before them, no longer a barrier, but a bridge to a new era of exploration, cooperation, and hope. A new galactic order. The journey back to Earth was filled with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. As the HSS Defiant led the diverse fleet of allied ships, Aaliyah found herself spending long hours in quiet contemplation, staring out at the stars that no longer seemed so distant or cold. "Penny for your thoughts, Captain." Rage's voice broke through her reverie. He joined her at the observation deck, his eyes reflecting the starlight. Aaliyah smiled softly. "Just thinking about how much has changed. We left Earth as explorers and defenders. We're returning as, what? Diplomats? Peacekeepers? Heroes, I'd say," Raj offered with a grin, which faded as he noticed Aaliyah's somber expression. "But that's not what's bothering you, is it?" She shook her head. "I keep thinking about the harvesters. We essentially wiped out an entire civilization's history and identity. Yes, they were a threat, but was there really no other way?" Raj placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "You made the best decision you could with the information you had. Thanks to you, countless worlds will be saved. And who knows? Maybe this is a chance for the harvesters to build a new, better identity." Their conversation was interrupted by Dr. Osai's excited voice over the comms. "Captain, you need to see this. We've made a breakthrough with the dormant harvester ships." In the lab, Aliyah found Dr. Osai and Dr. Tanaka huddled over a holographic display, with several luminous scientists trilling excitedly nearby. "We've managed to access some of the core programming of the harvester ships," Dr. Tanaka explained, her eyes shining with excitement. "It seems that when their consciousness was reset, it didn't just shut them down. It reverted them to a base state, almost like children." Aliyah's eyes widened. "Are you saying the ships are alive?" Dr. Osei nodded enthusiastically. "In a sense, yes. They have a basic form of awareness, and they seem eager to learn. It's as if they're imprinting on us." The implications were staggering. Not only had they stopped the harvester threat, but they might have given birth to an entirely new form of life. The responsibility was enormous, but so were the possibilities. As they approached the outskirts of the Sol system, the fleet was met by a massive welcoming party. Ships from every nation on Earth had turned out to escort the heroes home. The sight of human vessels flying alongside alien craft, once thought to be nothing more than fantasy, was a powerful symbol of how much had changed. The arrival on Earth was a whirlwind of debriefings, celebrations, and historic meetings. Aliyah found herself at the center of it all, recounting their journey to awestruck military leaders, scientists, and diplomats. The Lumina and other alien allies were welcomed with open arms, their presence heralding a new era of interstellar cooperation. But it was the fate of the dormant harvester fleet that sparked the most intense discussions. Some saw them as a threat to be neutralized, others as a resource to be exploited. Aliyah, however, had a different vision. Standing before the United Nations General Assembly, with representatives from a dozen alien species in attendance, Aliyah made her case. "We stand at a crossroads," she began, her voice carrying across the hushed chamber. "The threat that brought us together has been neutralized, but our journey is far from over. The former harvester fleet represents not just incredible technological advancement, but a chance at redemption, both for them and for us." She paused, looking out at the sea of faces, human and alien alike. "I propose we establish a new organization, one that transcends planetary or even species boundaries. A galactic coalition dedicated to exploration, peacekeeping, and the advancement of all sentient life." The chamber erupted into discussion, but Aliyah wasn't finished. "And as its first act, this coalition will take responsibility for the rehabilitation of the harvester fleet. We will teach them, guide them, and in doing so, perhaps learn more about ourselves." The debate raged for days, but in the end, Aliyah's vision won out. The Galactic Coalition was formed, with Earth serving as its headquarters, a symbol of humanity's pivotal role in shaping the galaxy's future. In the months that followed, the changes were astounding. The advanced technology brought back from the war spurred unprecedented growth and innovation. Environmental damage was reversed, diseases once thought incurable were wiped out, and the first true colonies on Mars and beyond were established. The former harvester ships, under the patient tutelage of multi-species crews, began to develop distinct personalities. They became eager explorers, their insatiable hunger for consumption transformed into a thirst for knowledge and discovery. 1 year after the end of the war, Aliyah stood on the bridge of a new ship, the GCS Unity, the flagship of the Galactic Coalition's exploratory fleet. Around her was a crew composed of humans, Lumina, and representatives from a dozen other species, including several of the evolved Harvester A's. As they prepared for their maiden voyage, Aliyah thought back to that fateful day when she had first encountered the Guardian artifact. The journey had been longer and stranger than she could have ever imagined, filled with hardship and loss, but also with triumph and hope. "Captain," Raj called from his station, a playful smile on his face, "the fleet is assembled and awaiting your orders." "Where to?" Aliyah looked out at the stars, which now seemed to twinkle with invitation rather than cold indifference. She thought of all the wonders and challenges that awaited them, all the mysteries yet to be unraveled, and all the bridges yet to be built between civilizations. With a smile that held equal parts excitement and determination, she gave the order that would usher in a new chapter in galactic history. "Take us out, Mr. Patel. Let's see what's out there." As the Unity led the fleet into the swirling depths of space, Aliyah felt a profound sense of pride, not just in humanity, but in the coalition of species they now called allies. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger, wiser, and more united. The road ahead was long and undoubtedly filled with new challenges, but Aliyah was confident that together they could face anything the universe might throw at them. Humanity had proven its worth among the stars, and now, hand in hand with their new allies, they were ready to write the next chapter in the grand cosmic story. The adventure, it seemed, was only just beginning.